fellow wargamers and history buffs. Today, I am excited to share with you a really cool Napoleonic-themed card game that I found, probably the most interesting one that I have discovered so far. This is 1815 Scum of the Earth from All or Nothing Productions. Now, the game is a card game dealing with the conflict in the 100 Days. And so not only is it the Battle of Waterloo, but it's a lot of the things that are leading up to it. And this is what makes this a particularly compelling game, because it's not just sit down and rehash the Battle of Waterloo. It's a case where you are going through different objectives, trying to see who can build up their forces during this time period. You can actually do some damage to your opponent on their side of the field, and get ready then for the ultimate where you both sides meet at Waterloo. So let me show you kind of how that works. So each side has objective cards, and they're going to be going through these, and they happen to reflect different things that are happening historically. So of course you have Napoleon escaping from Elba, and then what happens is the next objective, for example, that the British have to do is one at the Congress of Vienna, and they need to use some zeal elements from their cards in order to slowly chip away and then overcome this objective. They need 6 hits on this card, so to speak, and then this is overcome. And then once they do that, then they may, in this case, draw another card, and then they move on to the next objective, etc. So for the British, it's, the Congress of Vienna, and then Wellington taking command, the Allies declaring war, the Duchess of Richmond's ball, the Battle of Quatre-Bras, and then finally the British are at the Battle of Waterloo, and then you'll have your conflict on the main map, on the main board. For the French, they're also working through a set of objective cards to get to the Battle of Waterloo. So the escape from Elba, and then of course Napoleon has to kind of overcome I think it's the 5th infantry regiment that was set to stop him. And then you've got to have a coup d'etat. Oh wait, nope, here we go. It's the coup d'etat in Paris. And then you have to raise the Army of the North. You've got the Battle of Ligny, the Battle of Quatre-Bras, and then finally the French are at Waterloo. So these are the objectives that they have to go through. And as I said, you are using elements of either your card's might or zeal to overcome these objectives. Now, each side has cards from their own unique deck that they're going to be drawing and playing. Both sides start off with a leader card on the map. And so for the Allies, it's either going to be Wellington or it's going to be Blucher. The leaders themselves have abilities that they can contribute. So they have actions that they can conduct during the turn. And then they also have strengths that they can contribute to the objectives that have to be overcome. The French have a choice of either Napoleon Bonaparte or Marshal Ney. Okay, and same thing applies. They get those cards and then they can use them for either the action or for adding in these factors to contribute towards their objective. Now, in your deck, you're going to have cards that represent units. And these are various and sundry historic units from that time period and from that battle. And so you're either going to have infantry units, cavalry units, or artillery units. And they're all going to have a particular type of action that they might be able to do. So either they can do something on a regular basis, or you can use them over and over again. Or maybe at the moment that you play them, you have to activate them or do some type of action with them. With all of your units, there's going to be a cost involved. So the little number in this little red ribbon at the top lets you know how many points or resources it's going to cost to play that card into your arrangement. And so This particular card here cost 5 resources, so that's a rather expensive one, but it's a pretty good one. It's got the other numbers that are here on it. This indicates its zeal, the little plus sign there. The little cannon mark indicates its might, its ability to contribute to fighting, and then the little blood dot there indicates how many hit points it takes to kill it. This particular one is special. In addition to these other factors, it also generates 1 resource point, and so you can use it to play other cards into play. And so the more cards like this that you have with this resource, the easier it is for you to get new cards dealt out into your field of play. With a number of these different cards and how you position them on your play field, you may be able to use some additional special cards. And so this is what I think really gives a lot of positivity to this game system, is not only, yes, you're playing cards and they have an effect, but also how they're arranged out there, and then some of the things that you can do. So we'll touch on that in a few minutes after we talk about the rest of the cards. Now, another type of card that you can play is a character card, and the characters are representing actual generals and officers that were involved in the campaign, and they're going to be able to add various abilities either at the moment that they're played, or there's different actions that they can do that would be helpful. So these are some unique ones, and it's kind of nice in that with all of these different character cards, they have unique art for each of them. Another type of card that you might have is an event card. Typically, what's going to happen is you're going to play these event cards either in response to something that your opponent's done, or you play it for the action that it's going to do, maybe doing damage to the opponent or causing their cards to be deactivated momentarily, or in some cases eliminated entirely. Once again, these cards have a cost. This is how many resources it costs to play them. Finally, we have attachment cards. These cards, as it says, would be attached to a particular card, either to one of your enemy's cards to do some sort of detriment to them, to one of the objectives areas that you're attacking, or to one of your existing cards, maybe one of your leaders, maybe one of your characters or units, and that's then going to boost their attack or their zeal function. Now, the ultimate objective of both players is to capture 2 of the 3 sort of bastions or strong points at Waterloo. And so that's, of course, the Chateau of Hougomont, La Haye-Saint Farm, and Pampelette Farm. And these all have a certain number of hit points. Each player is trying to do that amount of damage or more in order to capture it. And once they've done that, they've achieved that objective, and now all they need to do is get another one to win. So you're basically trying to get 2 of these 3 in order to win. And what's going to be happening is then you are going to be marshaling your forces in sort of this grid manner, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So you can have up to 9 cards out in play. And then when it comes time for them to actually do combat, you're going to be adding up the results of the cards to see how much damage they do to this objective here. So these 1, 2, 3 cards here are going to apply their factors to that card, and these 3 cards here are going to apply their factor to that card. And of course your opponent's going to be doing the same on their side, and the net difference is going to go either in your favor or in your opponent's favor. Now, as I had shown you earlier, some of the cards have a resource value. And if you're going to be playing cards into action, either you're going to be placing them on your battle board, or you're going to be playing them for the event that they might trigger, it's going to cost resources. And so if you're using the cards that are out here that have resources, well, these 2 are generating 2 resources. You would then go ahead and tire those cards, And so now, between now and the end of the round, they can't be used for additional resources, nor can their values go towards any actions for your objective. Most of the time, though, you're not always going to have enough resources out here in order to play cards in. And so what's going to happen is you're going to need to basically discard a certain number of cards in order to play a card into your arrangements out here. So for example, if we've got this artillery card, it costs 3 points to play. And so the allies here have got 2 resource points that they can use for these 2 cards. They can basically tire them for this round, but they still have a deficit, and so they would need to then discard a card. So you could then discard any card you want to, and that's going to burn 1 resource. So as you could see, some of these cards that are very valuable, like some of these leader cards and some of these other elite cards, they cost 5. So they take a long time to sort of save up your cards, and then whatever cards you're throwing away, well, those are cards that you're never going to see again, and you're not going to be able to get them back in. So it makes for some very interesting decision making for the players. And of course, there's a tremendous amount of random chance in what cards come up and what you get and what's available. And so that's what makes this game particularly fun and unique, in that every single time I played it, it's been something new and different and quite challenging. Now, in addition to whatever damage or zeal these cards might contribute to the combat or to your objectives, or what they might have as far as special actions go, there are some unique tactical cards that can be used. And so this, I think, is what makes this game particularly compelling, is it's not just the play of the card, but there's also some methodology to how you have your cards set up. So, for example, there is a card called Infantry Lines. This is a free tactics card. Every player has one of these, and once they play it, they can't use it again. But what it allows you to do is, if you happen to have 3 infantry lined up here, one across the other, you can play this card, and it's then going to eliminate an enemy infantry on the other side of the map. Similarly, there is a infantry square card. So if you happen to have your infantry arranged in 1, 2, 3, 4 in a square here, 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 or somewhere else, you can play this card, and then you can automatically eliminate an enemy cavalry unit on the other side of their play. And then last but not least, there is this cavalry charge card. And how this one will work is, you happen to have 3 cavalry, 1, 2, 3, lined up in a row, then you can eliminate an enemy infantry on the other side. So there's some fun possibilities to use these cards to great effect, taking out your opponent on the other side of the map just by how you happen to arrange your cards. So this is a very clever idea, and I really like this. It kind of adds to the flavor and the historicity of it. Now, the game itself is pretty easy to learn and play, and so I've had a chance to play it twice with friends, and we've had a great time. It's certainly been very exciting and kind of come down to the last couple of cards there to see who's going to win or lose. So it's got a lot of drama, and the fact that we've got so many familiar units and characters and events from this particular campaign, it really builds a nice story to it. There's a lot of narrative quality to it. In addition to playing face-to-face, they've got a very clever system here for playing it with a AI. So they've got a way for you to keep track of your rounds, and then you can select how difficult a level you want to have, and they've got sort of a little bot type of formula here for the flowchart for what the bot is going to do as far as which cards it's going to play and how it's going to do things. So that makes it pretty easy to do, and so a good value for both face-to-face as well as solo play. I've played it solo a couple of times and had a lot of fun as well. So that's kind of nice. Another option that they have is they've got an expansion, which is this one here called Give Me Night. This is a set of cards that are the Prussian units. So the one that comes with the game, this is going to be the Anglo-Allied army. So this is going to be principally the British and the Dutch-Belgian allies. This particular deck is exclusively Prussian units and Prussian leaders and Prussian events and things like that. And so you can then play the Prussians versus the French using this deck. And then lastly, they have a deck here for the weather. So if you have this little expansion, then you can add the weather in, and that's going to then have an impact on your units and card play and things like that. I haven't played with this yet, so I'm not sure exactly how that goes, but that's kind of the general idea that I have from what I've read. Lastly, this particular game series and rules can be played with two other games that are from this particular publisher. One is the Battle of 1066 Hastings, and so you could then play, the British Army of Wellington against William the Conqueror, or whatever, Harold Saxon against the French, or any combination that you want to do. They also have a game which is, I think, the Turks against the Knights Templar or the Knights of St. John. It's a battle of Malta in maybe 1530s or something like that. And so you could use the cards that are with that, and the objectives that are there, and then you could use this army against the Turks and go travel through time with your stuff. So it's kind of cool that you can kind of mix and match the genres that way. Now, I really like this game, and if you had a chance to see in the video, the quality of the production is really good. The components are fantastic. They're all very well made, a nice finish on all the cards and all the game components, whether it's the booklets or the other little play aid pieces. Very nice, so top quality in that regard. As far as the cards themselves, they all have unique artwork on them. So this is something that's really different from some of the other games that I played, where they might have maybe period art, where they've got, a painting from David or something like that on a card. Well, these are all contemporary artist has done all the artwork, and so it's very evocative. Now, might be a few issues here or there in that some of the characters don't look like they really did historically, but we'll just chalk that up to artistic license. And so it still makes for a really fun, very action-packed, and very dynamic with the cards and everything else. So great in that regard. Regarding the historic elements to it, it's got the characters, leaders, generals. It's got different events that actually happened. It's got the different units that were there. And so it builds a great sort of narrative quality to it as those different events happen, or as those different units come on or get destroyed. Or those characters go out in a blaze of glory or not. So it was a lot of fun playing it, just having those different things come up. And then the other thing is that the game, because it's a card game, you're going to get different cards different times in different orders. Things are going to happen differently. And the players are really face a very interesting challenge with trying to play different cards in. There's a certain cost to them. And so you could end up having, depending on your circumstances, just very few cards in play by the time you get to Waterloo, just because of how the sort of things have stacked up either in your favor or against you. So it's great for replayability, and just lots of drama, lots of fun. And so I think, given the fact that you've got some tactical elements to it as well as the card play, it's a really good mix of everything. And so probably by far, the best card game that I've found and certainly a lot of fun to play. So if you're interested, I'm going to see if I can't maybe put together maybe a solo playthrough or two, so that way you guys can follow along as I play it. But that's about it. If you've got questions or comments, go ahead, post them below. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. Share this out in the greater universe with other fans of history and war games. And until our next episode, be well.